My guest today is no one. It's just me in the studio on my own. It's the last episode of Season 1 of Accountants on Purpose. Season 1's been interviewing accountants who are experts in health or former accountants that work in health. And it's been a great journey for me. It's been a lot more work than I expected in terms of getting it up. There was a lot of courage needed. So thank you to those people who've encouraged me along the way. I am very grateful for the opportunity to be in your ears every week and watching on YouTube. We've been thrilled with the feedback so far about Accountants on Purpose. Keep it coming. I thought it would be nice to do my top 10 takeaways so that if you haven't listened to Season 1 yet, you can download them all and binge listen. My first takeaway for Season 1 is being a lifelong learner is not optional if you want to be successful. You have to keep educating yourself and learning every day. Accounting, banking background kind of set you up really well to manage a growing business.
Yeah, look, I think all those experiences collectively, help.
And you've done an MBA as well, so.
I've done an MBA as well. Yeah, I did that while I was at Adelaide Bank. And most recently I've done the company director's course while I'm at Dr. Jones. So, I've certainly tried to invest in education along the way, which I think is really important, and putting that together with your practical experience that you get through your roles. And certainly I was afforded many different opportunities when I was at the bank, and whilst I've been at Dr. Jones and Partners, lots of different departments, opportunities, functional responsibilities, leadership roles, or, more of the expert roles where you're working, on a special project. So lots of different opportunities, which has been certainly set me up for where I am today.
Yeah. How firms are adapting their hiring practices because the accounting industry is changing so rapidly.
But at that time, I remember interviewing and the discussions that we were having about the strengths and weaknesses of particular graduates when we started. And a lot of it was about how much work will they be able to do, how easy will they be to manage, and how will they get along. And we all felt like that was the right approach at the time, and I think that was the right approach at the time. What I think's changed since then is what we, and not only we, William Buck, but we, the broader profession, are expecting from our graduates. We're expecting more analytical skills, an ability to be able to attract business, build relationships. There's a lot more that we're after these days. So it's I guess a far broader assessment now than what it used to be. And it would be that because that's our number one path into our business, is through the recruitment of graduates. And we're looking for different skills amongst all of those graduates because we recognise that that's what our business needs going forward. And even though it's a very short time to get an impression of someone, you still got to be able to do it, and to think, well, how's this person going to fit into our business, and how are we going to get these other elements that we're looking for from the crop of people that we're taking on.
What can happen if you hit rock bottom, and how it can be painful and beautiful at the same time, just like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly.
It was a bit of a life-changing moment, yes. And I, had 9 operations for my troubles, went through a fair bit of rehabilitation. But I can't say it was the worst thing that happened to me. I would argue it was probably the best thing that happened to me. And I'm not recommending for your listeners to go and hit a tree to find yourself.
No.
But it was really good because I came out of an era where, Wall Street, it was like everything was about being glamorous and famous, and everybody had billions of dollars, and it didn't really matter how you made your money. And I must admit, you do get caught up in that particular hype. You're going to be somebody, particularly if you join these firms, you'll be working with those sorts of clients. And that's as a point of self-reflection for me. Losing your life over a job's just not worth it.
I might be on this corporate treadmill, but it's not really what is going to serve me in the long run. So in 2008, you qualified as a studio rehab Pilates instructor, and you started your business, Physique Pilates. What was that transition like?
Well, I think like anything, you start off doing things you're not quite sure why. Well, I had some reason around doing accounting, and we'll go to that a little bit later, I think. But you kind of got to hit rock bottom before you make big decisions and choices.
How getting personal with your clients can help you understand them and help them more deeply.
In our business, we talk a lot about moments of truth. So you might have a client that, potentially gets the same thing from you for a few years, but then something will happen in that client's business, and they're like, right, well, we need some help. We'll call Tom. It's how you react to that proves how good you are and what your value is to that client. So those moments of truth are important, and I talk to our people about that. Is this a moment of truth? We've got a client that's in trouble here. They've called us because they've breached their debt covenants. Yep. And the bank sent them a letter. And they've got a meeting next week. Right. Well, this is now our number one priority because this is what our clients expect, and this is a moment of truth.
Taking care of your clients and tooling up to make sure that you know what to do if someone comes to you and they're in distress.
Maintain the link to education, but importantly also research and evidence-based research to inform policy.
How to find the magic in accounting.
The magic in accounting is when you actually educate and empower your clients. It's when they know what they're doing. It's when I give you the tools to not muck up your tax next year. Yeah. So it's not about accountants as magic fixer-uppers. Like, it should be about accountants as the proactive people educating and working with businesses or clients.
Being inspired in your work every day and what to do if you're not. The only other boss you should listen to is Bruce Springsteen.
Well, he starts it off with 1 + 1 = 2. He says, get out of bed is 1, go to work is 1, go home, go to bed is 2. 1 + 1 = 2. And he says that's the grind. That's the day to day. And often what we do in work is telling our clients 1 + 1 = 2. Now we say, you made $100 today. There's $100 in your bank account. It all makes sense. Everything balances up. But that's not magic. He says the magic comes when 1 + 1 = 3. And that 1 + 1 = 3 moment it's music, it's family, it's friends, it's food, it's art, it's just that stuff that you can't actually put your finger on and you can't put on a balance sheet and you can't put an equation. That just makes the grind days worthwhile. So, on a Wednesday in Adelaide where it's pretty cold and you've got a lot of work to do, even though I love what I do, I've got my daughter's netball on Saturday morning, and got a football match to watch on Saturday afternoon, and that gives me my 1 + 1 = 3. That makes the hard times worthwhile.
What it actually takes to build a successful practice.
No one had ever taught me that having an accountancy practice and then having a property portfolio went hand in hand together. And I was like talking about not Section 51 of the Income Tax Assessment Act. You'd talk to clients about tax loopholes and things that they could understand. It was client focused. So, and then, just other things that we'd talk about. Like, he was just such an amazing role model for me. He'd say to me, Kim, family is everything. And it was just inspirational. And every Christmas we'd go to a Christmas party and he'd drink. So I got a chance to drive his Porsche. And I would absolutely thrash it down the side streets.
Things that are important.
And we'd talk about life and, we'd just dream. And he was a great storyteller. He'd go out for lunch every day. And he introduced to me the importance of being, someone who's, like, it was to do with branding of his accountancy practice, but he sort of pitched that he had this lifestyle where he travelled first class around the world. And that was, people wanted to be around people like that. They don't
they still do, don't they?
They do. And they love a long lunch.
Yes.
And FBT sort of killed that when it was introduced, but it's still, there's a massive place for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of business is done over lunch. And just all of those fundamentals he brought to the table and really introduced the importance of them into my life.
The importance of personal branding in your professional career.
I think it's absolutely everything, not just because we're in a society right now where everyone's pushing personal brand, online content, all that sort of stuff. But even if you don't care about that stuff, I think it's important because it determines who you're going to work with hugely. So I didn't really make my personal brand thinking I want to do all this content. I did do content when I felt like it. But the beauty of it was the content which I did and the brand that I had spoke to a specific niche of the market. I just wanted to be me. When I first left my job and created the business, I remember one of the first things I felt to myself was, I'm leaving because I didn't want to have this corporate veil where when people meet me, they're meeting the corporate me.
And that already have an idea of what that is.
Exactly, right? And I wanted for me to be me. When I meet you, I want me to come to the table, not I'm going to do management talk, corporate talk here. And I wanted the personal brand to reflect that. So I do believe accountants or anyone who is in business for themselves, or even if you're not, have a brand where you're able to just be you.
A few of my guests this season talked about finding the passion and purpose in their work and how doing that makes them a better human and a better accountant.
I was snowboarding down the summit run in Falls Creek, and it was just a beautiful spring day, and I was there basically on the run by myself. And I had my headphones in and I was blasting some tunes through, and it was idyllic, like it died and gone to heaven. And I was like, I just want to solve this morning who my ideal client is.
Yeah.
And then it just came to me like a bolt of blue.
See, that's that quiet time again.
It is.
And in nature.
Yes. And it was a doctor. I just want to go hard on doctors. So that was 2 years ago. And we changed everything in our practice to focus on doctors and know everything we could about them.
So if you only heard this podcast through your podcasting app, it's absolutely worthwhile going to our YouTube channel to watch the videos, because you do get something different from seeing people speaking, and particularly seeing me in the studio talking to my guests. But it wasn't always perfect. No, you're worried now. Have you had coffee today?
Welcome to Accountants with a Purpose. I've not quite. I hate it.
So
You've got within the mind. Okay. Yeah, nailed it.
Today, Sarah's interviewing me on the Accountants. Accountants on Purpose.
Accountants on Purpose podcast. Accountants on Purpose podcast. I feel like I'm getting better at this.
Accountants on Purpose podcast. Can we do it again? Yeah. Sorry. Hi, my name's Kim Nitschke. I'm a guest. Sorry. That's the money shot.
This might be like, you know what? I should
Mix it up.
How do I feel?
Oh yeah, that one take. Far out. Everyone does like 15 takes. We've already started working on season 2 of Accountants on Purpose. I'm going to be speaking to a bunch of entrepreneurs who have great stories. So if you liked season 1, you're going to love season 2 of Accountants on Purpose. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast today. If you're still listening, you can find the show notes on our website, ulegal.com.au. You're welcome to go ahead and subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with anyone that you think might benefit from it, anyone that you think is open to helping us create a world with a purpose that's higher than profit. If you're an accountant on purpose, feel free to find our Facebook page and join our community.